Greetings. Welcome to you, fancy feathers. Today we're going to be doing a reading on hypertension. Hypertension, inability to relax, and this affects your thorax and your thyroid. So let's begin by taking off everything from your feet. Take off your socks, take off your shoes, your slippers, put your feet, ground them on the floor, and let's work on some breathing. Let's take the collective energy of hypertension. Let me move this a little closer to me. You see the collective of hypertension. And let's push it away. Imagine taking a deep breath and inhaling all that tension, and then exhaling and pushing all that hypertension away. And you see it go, and you see it, and you dissolve all that tension. And you remind yourself, this hypertension is not mine. This tension is not mine. This reading is the connection to another reading that I was talking about, people who raised themselves. A lot of people, like myself, who had to raise ourselves during the most crucial times of our lives. It's very common for people who are brought up in dysfunctional families to have this inability to relax, this hypertension, this tension that just doesn't seem to ever go away. So today we're going to go deep into those sensations so that we can relieve and prevent the frequency loops of them and become better at pushing hypertension away. For people who do suffer with this condition, it's very important for you to avoid caffeine. I'm drinking my herbal tea today because if you have IBS issues or any kind of digestion issues, caffeine is not good for you. Coffee, the creamer that they put in coffee a lot of times has artificial sweeteners and artificial hydrogenated oils that are really bad for your digestion. I know you love your coffee, and it's very important for you to give your body what it wants. In modern society, we just give our bodies whatever we want to give it. Ego, right? The ego comes along and the ego wants an espresso. The ego wants a ribeye. The ego wants a big cake, some ice cream and whipping cream, right? You deserve it, you tell yourself, but how many times do you actually eat with your soul? How many times do you eat with your spirit? Why is it that we have this negative perpetual cycle of eating with our minds? Our mind is not going to desire positive things. The mind is constantly targeted. And the one thing that cannot be targeted or controlled is your heart. So put your hand over your heart and ask your heart, tell me what my body needs, not what my mind wants, not what my ego mind wants, but what does my soul and my heart, my spirit need me to feed my body? And when you do that, you will not get coffee back. Coffee is not going to be the response. Your body does not do well with coffee. Yes, coffee has healing properties. If you really want to get those healing properties that can be derived from coffee, you get them from decaf. You get them from decaf. Also, drink blonde coffee because anything darker than blonde coffee has bugs And that's how you get dark coffee, because they keep the bugs in them. And let's see. I lost what I was thinking about. But let's talk about hypertension, okay? Every time you feel like your tension is starting to take over, because the hypertension will take over your entire day if you let it. I want you to imagine your toes, your finger toes getting heavy, and then your toes are getting heavy, and then your ankles are heavy, and then your knees are heavy, and then your thighs are heavy, and then your sides and hips are heavy. Your abdomen is heavy, your heart heavy, your shoulders heavy, your arms, your hands, your wrists heavy, neck heavy, head heavy, and you just push off the hypertension. Another method that I like to use when I feel it trying to come is breathing. So let's say you're trying to go to sleep and you had a really hectic day where you just dealt with hypertension all day long. Sometimes you don't even drink caffeine and you feel like your body is going through a panic attack. When that happens and you're in bed trying to sleep, imagine your breathing being the ocean. Your breathing is the ocean, the sea, the water. Every time you inhale, the ocean is going deeper and deeper with your inhale. And then you exhale. And then it goes the other way towards the coast. Every inhale, the water goes in deeper. Every exhale, the water comes back and forth, back and forth. Imagine how the waves are formed in the ocean. They go back and forth, back and forth. Every time you exhale, there's the foam and the bubbles making lines in the coast, and you just play with the sound of your breathing and imagine that it's just the sea, it's just the ocean. So, where does hypertension come from? We're not talking about a scientific or a Western medicine standpoint right now. I'm talking about energetically. Where does hypertension come from? It comes from an inability to relax, right? Inability to feel safe, right? But it keeps on going further. If you go deeper, it actually comes from never feeling loved without condition. Motive, interest, a catch, a price, or a sacrifice. So, what did that create? That created disbelief. Disbelief is the root cause of hypertension. You never experienced anything positive or loving as a child. So this disbelief was created. And then you go back, oh, I never experienced this or I never experienced that. Well, we live in a really, really harsh, cruel world where we cannot go out looking for it. And when we did in our adolescent years, when we went out looking for that we were missing, we were brutally attacked and hurt. So the truth of the matter is, in the end, we have to learn how to give that conditional, unconditional, not conditional. See how I accidentally said conditional? It's embedded, and you have to train yourself to give the unconditional love towards thyself, towards yourself. Okay? So the hypertension comes back again, push it off, release. I don't consent to this tension. I don't consent to this grip. Release, release, release the clench over and over again. And you're like, okay, I'm going to be more loving towards myself. I'm going to be more nurturing. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to my soul, right? And then the hypertension comes back for every email, every text, every news, even if it's good. The hypertension follows after like a plague. The reason why the hypertension continues is because the root cause has not been reversed. The root cause is disbelief. So the homework here is how to train your body to reverse the disbelief into believing. When you are stuck in disbelief, you manifest nothing. You manifest lack because you're not even believing in it. It's kind of like wishing for a wish. You know, what is the recipe? How do you get a wish granted? You have to have the faith. And it's the faith that makes it come true. But if we are coming from dysfunctional backgrounds, then that disbelief is going to be there, and it's going to cause a limited mindset, a mindset of lack. All those words that we hate hearing about because we understand them, but we can't change them because we're not looking at the root cause, which is disbelief. So that is what is the homework here, is working on. Usually for a situation like this, I would reverse the spiritual core belief systems. But in this case, it would not be sustained because it would not be believed. So if you want to heal your hypertension, you heal the disbelief system by reversing it into once again believing that something positive can happen for you. That's my spiel. Let's get started. If this was resonating so far, this is your reading. Let's go ahead and start with our medicine cards. I only use positive decks. I do not channel. I do not accept downloads. I do not use tarot. I am a scanner and diagnostics provider. I hope everyone is doing well during this solar eclipse. Has been super emotional and super transformative if you let it. So the problem, you have two of them that wanted to flip over, is needing to purify something. Something needs to be purified from your subconscious. We already know what that is, and it's disbelief. Do you see all this darkness here? These are really dark. These are the darkest emotions that you ever have. And this is what is being purified right now. Because as we acknowledge them, we attack the particles until they no longer exist. This one right here is about duality. Learning how to embrace your duality. Maybe some days you want to dress feminine. Maybe other days you want to dress masculine. Maybe some days you want to be a leader. Maybe some days you want to be a listener. Learn how to improve your dualistic abilities. You find me so hard to understand that I exist in your world as one entity. In this world you most easily perceive as linear is another dimension. Polarity. I am one, not two. I am the unseen and the seen, the unspoken and the spoken, the chaos and the very order of nature. Because you sense me but cannot see me, you fear me and think me a perversion, but truly it is your fear that perverts. For I am as natural to the fabric of your world as the sun that continues to shine above the dark thunder clouds. When you understand me, I no longer seem a twisted thing. Rather, you understand that I am the limit of experience in your world, and why else are you here? There is duality in all things, the positive and the negative, the dark and the light, the internal and external, and the masculine and feminine aspects of all life. Take time to look at both sides of all situations so you can see the whole picture. What is being presented to you is only one of the two faces. Everything has a flip side, does it not? The most easily perceived. Rather than seeing that which you expect, open your perspective to see the side that's been blocked from view. The two sides exist simultaneously within the whole. Give them equal time and weight. Balance your perception. If you have only seen the positive, allow the negative to appear and accept its existence without dismissing it. It's a very powerful card because there's so much both. Well, I don't want to say both, but there's just so much energetic and spiritual movement that goes on every day, all day. There's this energy that's just always moving, and it's interesting how we're always trying to bleach when we're supposed to be working with it and transforming it. For example, one might ask, how do we stop negative jinn from entering our toes? Sometimes we can't. All we can do is transform it. Transmute it into positivity. Use the energy and transform it into positivity, and then it just pops off. When you choose to do something positive, it makes the negative jinn pop off. When you choose to do something positive with the negative energy, you know what I mean? Using the negative energy to transmute it, because if you're constantly clearing and bleaching it, it kind of attracts attention, but if you're using it and transmuting it and turning it into something then it keeps it neutral. When we're like in fear, bleaching and clearing energetically, that attracts attention. That makes things want to take over and teach you a lesson, because it doesn't want to be dealt with that way. It wants to be transformed and transmuted. That's just the best way that I can describe it. So these two came together for a reason, because it's there, what we're clearing, but it doesn't want to be cleared and bleached away. It wants to be used before leaving. Do you understand? So how can we use it? We transmute it into wisdom. Transmute it into charity and wisdom. That's what I would suggest, because your wisdom is needed by somebody else, somebody younger, that is less experienced and hasn't gone through what you've gone through, to maybe prevent suffering for somebody through your pain. What is the suggestion here? What in your life needs inevitable change? Where do you feel like you're being pushed a different direction? And allow the wind, allow the universe to kind of push you towards your next chapter. It seems like a lot of people in this collective are kind of clenching and holding on, not wanting to be blown away. Just let life blow you away to another country, okay? Country and connection. I don't know why those words just want to be shared. Moving to another direction is what I was thinking. Allowing the monsoon to push you towards a completely different direction, a different industry, a different country, a different city, a different house. Real estate, getting into real estate. When you get into real estate, you move all the time. And you just have to have a P.O. box, you just get a P.O. box so that all your mail can go to the P.O. box, and then you just buy houses, rent houses, buy houses, switch around. So what I have noticed is that a lot of indigenous tribes are suffering in certain locations because they refuse to move. What do the animals do? The animals migrate. We're not meant to stay in one spot for too many years. And it's really sad, because a lot of families, they can't afford to move, and they don't have any support from their government to go to somewhere else. Like Alaska doesn't get talked about a lot. Alaska has a lot of indigenous people that lost their homes, they lost where they lived for so many years. And I understand the pain and suffering, but at the same time, I feel like it's like there's something else behind something else. Like, I know that there's a negative operation going on, but at the same time, I don't feel that it's good to stay in one spot for too long, for too many generations, I want to say. Sometimes, we have to keep it moving and go somewhere else and go a different direction. And if you're not planning on doing a physical move, this is just an energetic move. What is the alignment? The alignment. What is the tool to keep the alignment? the tool that you already have to keep the alignment, yourself. So the tool is not external, this is internal here. Your own self, your own shadow self. Some of you might hide a characteristic or a part of your personality to the public, and that secret trait that you hide or that shadow aspect of yourself is what makes you so special. And getting to know, because we're so busy every day that sometimes we don't get to know ourselves or we don't get to play. You know, what do children do whenever they're born? They spend their whole life playing and finding something to do that's fun, right? And then you grow up and it's the complete opposite, and you're no longer allowed to play. Giving yourself permission to see your own life through a childlike perspective and getting to know your shadow self, getting to know that little quirky characteristic that you try to hide, allowing it to come forward and maybe switch sides where you become your shadow and what you've been this whole time becomes the shadow. Maybe there's some of you in here that don't recognize who you've become because the world showed you pain, so you were molded into something else, and that's why you don't recognize yourself, and that's why it's so important to switch. You're like, okay, well, if I don't recognize myself, then let my shadow self show, and let me reconnect with my true self, my true spirit, my true soul. For those of you who are unemployed or thinking about switching industries or switching hobbies, let's do, which one should we do first? Let's do this one first, and then I'll come back to that one. If there is something that I haven't mentioned before I go to the career oracle cards, anything that needs to be mentioned? So when you allow your shadow side to come forward and show you something that you've been repressing, that character that you've been repressing, that is your true self, is the profitable one. So let's say you've been in lack this whole time. Maybe you've been in lack this whole time because you're still healing from how you were brought up and still dealing with the hypertension version of yourself. And the hypertension version of ourselves is the wounded one. It's not going to bring in what we need brought in. So bringing out the true self, the true personality, the true character of you is going to break this disbelief that's going on, because this true self is offended by the disbelief. This one is like, let me out. Let me out. Let me destroy that disbelief for you. Let me evaporate that disbelief for you and help you become who you were supposed to become. Because right now, the face that you're not recognizing in the mirror is what this world made out of you. And that is not your true self. That is finessing, external finessing for so many years. Anything else? It's like becoming a baby shark all over again and just trying again. It's like this world made you a wounded fish, right? When really you were a baby shark. You were supposed to be a shark, but you were raised around abusive fish. But you were a baby shark. So it's time to let the baby shark come out and grow like the shark that it was supposed to be. Uh-oh. Isn't that interesting? Because when you become the shark that you were supposed to be, the tiger, the lion that you were supposed to be, you eat your obstacles. You eat your obstacles for lunch and you just numb them, right? When you have the wounded version, the hypertension version, they use the tiniest little negative news to ruin their entire day, even their entire week. They're like, oh, I got some bad news. I'm going to have a panic attack. I'm not going to go out today. I'm not going to go socialize. I'm going to, bed rot or whatever. But that's the wounded version. The true you, before ever experiencing any pain from any lifetime or timeline, is like, oh, baby shark food. Let's eat it. Let's eat the obstacles. Just numb them away, right? What can you expect as you work on improving your belief systems? What can we expect? A balancing. As you work on your belief systems, you become the queen and the king that you were always meant to be. You become the father you were always meant to be. You become the entrepreneur you were always meant to be. That is what can be expected as you work on your belief systems. And the magical thing about belief systems is they require blind faith. So your faith is tested through this process. So the goal is to make your power greater than the obstacles so that you can just eat the obstacles, okay? Back to this one. As you work on these, this will also raise your standards and improve your self-respect. And you will no longer settle for less, okay? I'm sorry, I always forget not to do that. Oh my goodness. I always forget not to do that. I have a really sensitive sound where I'm gonna have to like use two different tables so the sound doesn't echo because I forget not to slam the deck against the table because it sounds really loud. Bear with me as I improve my sound system. We have investment. Invest in your education and make some big plans for the future. Take calculated risks, but save something to fall back on. So, no matter what you're doing to invest, Make sure that you're saving some if things don't go as planned or if you have unexpected expenses. So the suggestion is to invest on something different. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread the eggs around in different baskets. These are too many. I'm going to reshuffle. Let me pause this while this person goes by. Too many? All right. Last but not least, we have the future. Plan for the future while living in the present. You are always supported by Source. Your psychic abilities can bring you prosperity. Okay, so it's kind of like using your intuition to make the correct investments. You know, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Till next time. Bye.